this team in Green Bay.
Well,
I like Detroit, but not enough.
Well, I think you need to like Detroit a little bit more than that, personally. And I would tell you they're the team to beat in the NFC North. Jordan Love still has some things to prove. Romeo Dobbs is gone. Watson, Matthew Golden and these cats, they're there now. I get that part, but you still got some things to prove. On the defensive side of the ball, Sean Gary is going, even though he didn't produce at a high end, particularly once Michael Parsons went down. But Michael Parsons coming back. We don't know how he's going to look once he gets back. That's a tremendous injury that he's coming back from. And not only that, what is the defense going to do? They're relatively middle of the road. You and I were talking about that yesterday.
Yeah.
So you got a middle of the road defense. You got an offense that can be very potent with a very talented Jordan Love, but he's got to show that he's ready to step up and take it to the next level. We look at the Chicago Bears, your plus 22 turnover differential. I believe that's the number. I mean, what you had last year going for you. That likelihood of that happening this year is slim, okay? You're not anticipating that, even though I love Ben Johnson and I love me some Caleb Williams, they still got a lot to prove. Minnesota, Kyler Murray, Arizona let you go for nothing. They just let you walk away. I'm not saying that was the wisest thing to do. They should have figured out a way to get some level of compensation for you, restructuring your deal, them moving you, doing something. I don't like the fact that they did that, but it does speak to what they think about you, that they were willing to let you go when they clearly need a quarterback, okay? So you got that going on. And then in the case of the Detroit Lions, I mean, you got Laporta, you got Jameson Williams, you got all of these cats, I'm in Ross St. Brown. You got all of that going on with Goff, who can quarterback. You got Jahmyr Gibbs, who's an all-world running back. I mean, look at the pieces that they have offensively. This is one of the most prolific offenses in the National Football League. I think looking at the rest of the NFC North, you got to give respect where respect is due and say, you should be able to take this division if you're Detroit.
You're both wrong, and you're both playing fantasy football because of all of the names that y'all all threw out there. None of y'all talked about offensive linemen at all.
That's true.
And the best offensive line in the NFC North is Chicago, bar none. Joe Thuney, their all-world guard, won Protector of the Year for a reason. That offensive line
lost their center.
Yeah, I understand, but they brought in a former first-round draft pick in Garrett Bradbury to replace him. But you're talking about number 1 in pass block win rate and 5th in run block win rate, and you're talking about an offense that was top 5 in running game. As a matter of fact, Ben Johnson has sat in the top 5 in terms of running the football each of the last 3 years. He has the most diverse run game in football, and as a result, he has the most explosive offense in football. Nobody in the NFL had more plays of 10 yards or more than the Chicago Bears. You look at the year-over-year improvement with Caleb Williams in year 1 with Ben Johnson, and then, of course, you look at what's been able to happen in terms of the weaponry that they've surrounded him with. The Chicago Bears are the team to beat in the NFC North. They have the most talented quarterback in the division. They have the most gifted play caller in the division.
All right, so ESPN talk about the NFC North football season. I didn't even know the Hall of Fame game was Thursday. Excuse me, I didn't even know none of that. But shout out to the NFL Hall of Fame game and, King Haynes, what is his name, Haynes King, whatever the dude named that, balling for Carolina in the Hall of Fame game. But, we got ESPN talking about the NFC North. You got somebody saying the Packers, somebody, Chris Canty, saying the Bears, and, who knows? Most people sleeping on Minnesota because of the quarterback situation. He said the Bears got the best offensive line in the division. They was great running the ball, pass blocking. He didn't really say much about defense in the clip. So I don't know where their defense stand at. This year was atrocious last year. They just had a really soft schedule. And they did a great job of covering up the defensive deficiencies because they ran the ball. Ben Johnson is a running wizard. Where Detroit failed at with their two-back system. The two-back system left Detroit when Ben Johnson left Detroit. They couldn't even implement both the backs and use them like they did with Ben Johnson. I think that was one of the bigger holes that he left. Green Bay, they moved the receivers here and there. Jordan Love has kind of got that stigma where he can't win the big game in the playoffs, and he just go haywire throwing the ball. So he got to get over that. I know Josh Jacobs had a situation. I'm not sure how that's affecting them. Defensively, they still figuring it out in Green Bay. Minnesota, they're one of the best defensive coordinators in football, Brian Flores. So they gave the Lions hell last year with their offensive line. But when you look out on paper, I think Stephen A. made an interesting point. He made a great point. The Lions on paper, especially if they healthy, realistically on paper they should run with this division. If they safeties get healthy, you got Rackstraw balling in camp. You got this Isaiah Whitehead or White Kit guy balling in camp. You know what I'm saying? You know, DJ Reed is back to his self. You know, you got Aleem McNeil. There's Enrique practicing, but you got, what's the brother name? Tyleek Williams. You got the Moore kid who should be coming back from injury pretty soon. You got Aiden Hutchinson. I mean, you got, you know, Devin White, who had a big, defensively, Jack Campbell, the best linebacker in football right now, inside line. So, you know, if they healthy, and that's always been the key. Had they been healthy the year they went 14-2 and lost to Washington, had the defense been healthy, they won the Super Bowl. You know, and that's just been the biggest question. Now, offensive line wise, they seem to have the pieces in place, still some movers and shakers there. Miles Frazier may get in where he fit in at. He might not Christian Mahogany out the lineup. He might not the rookie out the lineup. Who knows? Because he's doing well at tackle. But on paper, the Lions got the most complete team if healthy. But once again, it's always if healthy. If healthy, they got the most complete team. Where it's a lot of concern about the secondary. If you get your safeties back, and Rackstraw, Whitehead, Roxanne, DJ Reed, McCreary, they all who they said he is. You get signed back. You know, up front, they should be good, to be honest. But we all know injuries is going to take a part. You look at offensively, Laporta, J-Mo. I know Tesla, he having a problem getting separation. Most big receivers don't get great rep separation. They got that big body to fend off those little defenders. So him not getting separation, the only problem that is Goff don't throw motherfuckers open. Like, it take a lot of trust for Goff to trust you. The way he throw Laporta and the way he throw St. Brown open, he don't throw J-Mo open in that way yet, and that could be coming and heating up in camp. And for in the way he threw Josh Reynolds open, you gotta have that rapport. And Tesla and Goff got a nice rapport already. So maybe, you know, Goff has just learned that he may not be one of those receivers that get a lot of separation, but his ability to high point the ball, a guy like Tim Patrick didn't need that separation. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's rare that you get guys like Calvin Johnson, Larry Fitzgerald, big receivers, Michael Irvin, Terrell Owens, Randy Moss, where, you know, they get separation and, you know, they big body receive. That's what made them so deadly, is that they bodies can shield off defenders and they also get separation. So that don't really concern me none as of yet, because I think him and Goff got a good rapport and Goff will just learn to throw them open. But if you have to ask me, the biggest concern with the Lions is just health. Defensive health overall, but specifically defensive health, and how that offensive line gonna gel together. So if the line get healthy, you know, the line gel together, stay healthy, the defense get healthy, on paper they should run away with this division, and it shouldn't be close with a last place schedule. But we all know that's not the way it's gonna work. It's not the way it's gonna work. You know, they're gonna have to overcome injuries. This division gonna be close. Chicago got a really good team. I think Caleb Williams is going to take a monstrous step again this year. You know, I think he played really, really well in the playoffs. They should have won that playoff game, and DJ Moore broke that route off, and, you know, he played really well. One thing I'm impressed with him in, when the chip's on the table, Caleb Williams played really, really well. He has an elite arm talent, but now it's a little bit different. You know, it's kind of like the Lions. When they came back 14-2 and they had their target on their back, they responded really, really well. They took punches and they rolled with them. They had a target on their back after coming off the NFC Championship game. How Chicago going to deal with a first place schedule? How they going to deal with a first place schedule, you know, coming off all that success? That's how we going to see. But I think they're going to do pretty good. The way they run the football is very impressive. The two-back system is impressive. And then you just got to have that health and see the defense. So it's a competitive division. I think anybody can win it. I wouldn't sleep on Minnesota figuring it out. I wouldn't sleep on Green Bay winning. I wouldn't sleep on the Bears winning the line. But on paper, and with the Lions with the last place schedule, you know, that could or could mean something. On paper, the Lions should be favored to win this division. But in general, if Chicago can respond well to having a target on their back, they might dominate division for some years to come. But Green Bay, I'm not sure. You know, they kind of right in the middle. Like, I just can't put my finger on Green Bay. It's just too janky. You know what I'm saying? Even with Parsons, they look good. But Parsons, they still wouldn't have won the Super Bowl. It's just to the fact that, you know, Love just seemed a little bit janky. But if he can figure that out, I think I got a good chance. It's just a competitive. Anybody can win it, in my opinion, you know. But hey, hit the link description. It say find me everywhere: X, Instagram, Facebook, Kick, the whole nine. Check out Detroit Lions Talk playlist, NFC North playlist. Peace.